Alright, hi Sue. I wanted to put something together for you to show you some of the things that I think will be really helpful to deal with the Achilles tendon. I'm going to break it down into things we're going to do with the foot and the ankle, and then basically working with the lower leg, the whole compartment. Alright, and then we're going to give you some myofascial release stuff, and then some basic stretches, and then some things that can help you kind of strengthen and build capacity. All right, so the first thing that we're going to do, really, we're looking at getting more foot and ankle mobility, and then also working sort of with the exterior chain, posterior chain. So the first thing that I want you to start thinking about doing, I've got a couple of balls like this. I've got this is a dog toy, but it's actually great. And really, we're going to just start working on the bottom of the foot. You can use something like this. I also have foot wakers, but I think for a pair of foot wakers, they're like $70. So I don't think you need to spend that. But anyway, you want to start with the balls of the feet and just work. You know, maybe you can do 2 at a time. No, not really. Okay. Anyway, just going to kind of work through there. And really, we're just kind of warming up, lengthening the plantar fascia, some of the muscles on the bottom of the foot, because really, we're really thinking about posterior chain, working to release that. So I would say, you know, spend a couple of minutes warming up each foot. We always start with the foot because this gives us the best bang for our buck. Starting farther down always helps. So like I said, you can do a couple of things like this. These are great. I don't know, look at the pet store and see if you can find one of these. I think I've even found it at the dollar store, but it's really great. We're really thinking about warming up the feet. All right, and I don't know if you've seen foot wakers, but these work really well too. Okay, so that's the beginning part, and we're really just warming up and starting to lengthen back. Next thing that we're going to be doing is, you know, just some basic stretching. And again, I'm really focusing on really thinking about not just our Achilles tendon or not just the calf muscles, but that it's part of a whole system. So any of these stretches, I think wide ankle forward bend are good for you. Just thinking about kind of coming into it, lengthening. If that's a challenge, then, you know, kind of do one at a time, working like this. And I would just spend, you know, you don't have to spend a lot of time here, a couple minutes, really. I think warming up. I like to do coming in and coming out. I feel like I get sort of the best effect here, and what that also does is it sort of helps with blood circulation into the area. Okay? Really thinking about lengthening, stretching a little bit. And I would spend just a couple minutes because we don't want to make this into a whole great big huge thing. All right, next thing that I want to see you do is just some myofascial release, self-myofascial release, body rolling. You get a ball, something like this. This is about a 6-inch ball. I really like it, and you know, it's pretty straightforward. You're just rolling back and forth. If you've got a foam roller, I think that almost works a little better. So you can put it and you can do both legs at the same time. I have a stick as well that seems to work really, really super well for me. So you can just kind of work back and forth, and you want to work right all the way up. So yeah, this is working really well for my calves, but not so well for my hamstrings, and definitely not with these pants. But anyway, so work with maybe a foam roller, and we're just, again, thinking about blood circulation and thinking about some kind of myofascial release stuff. So using foam roller balls or something like a stick, and we're working the whole back of the leg, all the way from the calves, all the way up, okay? It's all part of the same system. That's starting to get our lower legs working well. Now what I want to do is I want to work with right in here, this spot right in here. When you think about ankle mobility, it's not just the ability for the back of the leg to stretch, it's also for the ability for these muscles and tendons to get out of the way. And sometimes if they're too tight, there's no room here for it to go. What I found really effective are just working with balls. And essentially, I'm putting it right here. And then you can just adjust to whatever feels comfortable for you. And I'd say hold that for maybe like a minute, something like that. Okay? Both sides. This is one quite easily that if you had two balls, you could do both sides quite easily. I noticed it was great that I got to do this because I noticed that my ankle on this side is really tight, and that might be a little bit, I know that I've torn my soleus, so that might be part of what's going on. But anyway, I'm going to be doing this a lot because I just want to develop that mobility, and then you can work up to just laying right on it. Okay, so that's good there. Next, I'd like to see you work just the outside of your leg a little bit. I find these really, really effective just working like this and rolling through. Again, we're kind of working all the muscles of our calf, not just gastrocs and soleus, because I mean, even though those are the muscles, the main muscles of the Achilles, it's part of a whole system. And we did notice that you had pretty tight calves. So I'm going to work both sides, working right into there. On this side, we're getting tibant, and we're also getting the proneals. Probably we're getting tibialis posterior a little bit through here too, although not as much. All right, so we're just doing some myofascial release, getting everything released, getting everything feeling good, and especially for you, working on that ankle mobility. And you can just do a little bit of stretching now, really thinking about trying to get onto your toes and seeing if you can get a little bit more mobility there. All right, so those, oh yeah, I was also going to show you just this. Sometimes just using kind of a rolled up blanket can also work to open up the ankles a little bit. Okay, that's all of those. Now we're going to get into some stretching, more stretching. And the stretching, I think you're pretty familiar already with basic gastroc stretches. These really address the gastrocs, the most superficial calf muscles. And we're really working on lengthening them. And you definitely want to kind of do sort of an alternating back and forth. I like to hold, 20, 30 seconds, something like that. Now, the soleus stretch is a little more difficult. You want to come a little bit closer, step closer, and you're bending the front knee. And you should feel that deeper. You should feel that more in here. A basic calf stretch, when we're doing this, you should feel it fairly superficial into the gastrocs. When you bend your front knee, you should feel it deeper. Okay? That should feel pretty good. Now last but not least, I know that I gave you walking backwards. That's really good for breaking down patterns. So I think you should always be doing, just think about it throughout your day, do a minute of walking backwards. Last but not least, we want to do some calf raises. And we're going to do straight leg calf raises and bent leg. So from this one, basically our seat is right against the wall. And essentially all we're doing is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we're not doing this. We're kind of pushing our whole body kind of up. The whole upper body is moving up, sliding against the wall. And then we're going to do it with bent knees. 2, 3, 4, 5. So this is helping to strengthen soleus. Okay? We're doing soleus and gastrocs because we want good, healthy calf muscles. All right, finish up with a little bit of a warm up or just kind of a sort of cool down, just stretching everything. And that should be a really good routine for you to some of the things that you can incorporate. We're really looking at getting good calf, hamstring, posterior chain, lengthening, more stretch, more blood flow. And for you, we're also looking at getting better foot mobility and ankle mobility there, getting you to have a little bit greater range of motion through that. Okay, if you have any questions, feel free to text me, but that should give you some things to work on for now. All right?